Welcome to Between Hope and Hustle, the podcast where we unpack the real challenges South Africans face and highlight the resources that can help us push through. I'm your host Hilton Appel, and on this episode, we're focusing on something deeply personal: mental health. For many of us, it's a silent battle that affects our homes, our work, and our sense of home. To help us unpack this, I'm joined by Fatima Sidat, a manager at the South African Depression and Anxiety Group, better known as SADAG. They've been at the forefront of supporting South Africans through crisis and spreading awareness across the country. Today's conversation is about the good, the bad, and the ugly of mental health in South Africa, from what's improving to what's still breaking us down, and what we can do about it. Hi, Fatima.
Hi, how are you, Hilton?
I'm good, thank you. For the first part, I would just like you to introduce yourself and the organization that you work for, and how it came to be that you came to work for the South African Depression and Anxiety Group.
Thank you so much. Okay, so where do I start? I'm Fatima from the South African Depression and Anxiety Group. I am the development manager, so I do programs development, campaigning development, etc. I started about 17 years ago, very long time, at SADAG as a volunteer. So I started volunteering because I needed the hours through my psych degree that I was doing. And slowly but surely, I got pulled into that whirlwind of SADAG. And the very next year, I became a person that was part of some of the projects that we were running. And my first project was with the Department of Social Development. We did a substance abuse campaign nationally. So I traveled and I lived through a suitcase for at least 8 months. So that's me. And I think if I just have to explain who SADAG, the South African Depression and Anxiety Group, is, we are a mental health NGO that provides 24-hour helpline services. And with that, we do a lot of support services for people living with different mental health issues. So and we do a lot of advocacy and support if there are any crises in the field.
Cool. Sounds interesting. One thing I wanted to clear up, it was the pronunciation of you said Sadag, because
Yes.
I'm colored and I'm all time reading Sadag. Um, but yeah. Next question. Could you just describe to us what mental health is? I think a lot of us misunderstand or misunderstood like what mental health actually is.
Yeah. So mental health is when you are able to function on a very high level and you are productive and your emotions are, we all have those ups and downs when it comes to emotions. But when your emotions fluctuate and you are able to cope with them, that is important. Also, your behavioral patterns, they need to be, when I say you need to sleep well, eat well, and when that starts struggling, it becomes a mental health issue. But if you have mental health, which all of us do, we are mentally healthy. Not everyone has mental illness or mental health issues. So at this point, I would like to say that hopefully most of us are mentally healthy.
Definitely. Yeah, so in this episode we'll look at three segments. So we'll look at the good, what's positive in the mental health space. We'll look at the bad and the ugly, something not everyone wants to talk about. So the good, what are the positive changes you have noticed in South Africa's mental health space over the past few years?
I think the most important thing is the stigma is starting to break down. Through conversations like the one I'm having with you, the interviews that we do on radio and TV, the information that we share, because the more we educate ourselves, the more we become familiar with mental health and well-being, and the more we are able to speak about it. So I think the big thing for me is stigma is finally starting to break down a bit. We can even see from before COVID, we were receiving about 800 calls a day, and post COVID and today, we receive about 2,500 calls a day. And yes, it almost interrelates with the stats that are being given, but at the same time, people are more aware of what they're going through at the moment. And because they're more aware and they're more educated, the easier it is for them to share what they're going through.
Yeah, definitely. I think there is still a lot of progress to be made. Yeah, and could you just see a couple of how SADAG has been part of that process, the campaigns that you guys run, or I know you guys did a campaign now in October. So if you can just give us a bit more information on that.
Yeah, so SADAG's running for 31 years now, actually over 31. And you can see the changes that happen, and it comes from increased education, because so SADAG does a lot of campaigning. So throughout the year, we have different awareness days. So it could be, in the beginning of the year, we have the support group awareness week. Then we have teen suicide prevention week. And we do all these awareness campaigns, and they play a huge role in educating the public and also increasing awareness on how to get help or where to get help from. I think also through, like you said, in the last months, we had World Suicide Prevention Day in September, and then October it was the whole World Mental Health Month. And throughout the month, again, both the months, we've been talking so much about, mental well-being, about suicide prevention, giving tips and tools how to take care of your mental well-being. And I think from that, there has been a huge growth in people um, sort of seek in their help seeking behavior, but also learning how to support others, because that's also just as
Yeah.
important. Um, I think this month, it never ends, does it?
No.
This month we're doing Men's Health Month, so we focusing on mental health. We just launched the campaign on the 1st of November. We are doing this time we're doing more of a online campaign. So there's a lot of online lives and conversations, a lot of videos coming out, speaking about good tools and tips for men, because it's so important. Even though stigma has shifted, men are still struggling to open up and share their stories and getting the help they need. And they almost feel pressurized, as if they're going to be seen weaker if they open up. So we're trying to break that narrative. And hopefully through this campaign, we can not change a few perspectives on that.
Oh, definitely. And I think it's also it's good for us to talk about these things. Like me and my friend group, we opening up more to each other, and yeah, we having these type of conversations. Um, yeah. So let's move on to the next segment, which is the bad. So what would you say is the biggest barriers that people still face when it comes to mental health support in South Africa?
The biggest one is accessibility. So, it's so difficult to get a mental health or psychologist or just a mental health professional in your clinic, your local hospitals, especially um, if you don't have, any medical aid or funding. And when we speak to our patients, especially in my one project that we do in one of the townships, and they have to take over 3 taxis just to go to the hospital to get the medication, with a huge unemployment rate, and then still having to pay for 3 taxis to get to a place where you have to get help, it's very difficult. I think also admissions are difficult. So when you look at people and again, using the public healthcare system, You go into your normal clinic that's in your area and they don't have anyone that has any mental health professional degrees or something. Um, then they have to be referred to another hospital. So that process is very difficult. And then when they get to a tertiary hospital, the wait lines are so long. Last week, we had a patient and he waited 3 days to be seen by a psychologist and get some sort of proper diagnosis and treatment. So it's really slow, and the resources are so small. It's not easy at all. And at the same time, if you look at the national budget, every year it decreases in health systems, and we get 5% from that whole um, pool of health budget that is available, which is very little. And if you look at stats, 1 in 3 people will experience a mental health issue in their lifetime. And that's massive. I mean, we 3 people right now, and one of us are going to have some sort of problem. How are we going to get help?
Yeah, yeah. So the access to help is one of the barriers that we are facing at the moment. And you mentioned earlier that the stigma is breaking. But do you feel that it's still affecting people in the workplace?
It does. Massively. When we speak to people at the workplace and they have a system like, um, you know, they have like maybe an HR department or employee wellness program, and they feel so afraid to open up to that avenues because they feel like they will be discriminated or they would be judged. So what they do is instead call SADAG and have a conversation with one of our counselors, and they know it would stay in a non-judgmental place, but also it's safe to talk because no one's going to know about it. So yes, stigma is important because people do fear that they're going to lose their jobs. I think at the workplace, we need to implement more accommodations for people that are struggling with their mental health and well-being. And if we can do that, it will make it so much easier for people to be more productive. And I think a lot of companies are seeing that. And that's why they tapping into, having wellness days, having mental health check-ins and break days. I know in Australia, people can take a whole month for mental health and well-being. So hopefully we get that in South Africa too.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, like at my previous employer, we also had a well-being platform, and yes, everyone was like scared to reach out to them, in fear of being judged or um knowing or maybe thinking that they would divulge the information to the employer. So yeah, that is things that keep us from using the available resources. Um, Another question is, what is the most common issues people reach out to you guys for?
It's so difficult to pinpoint that because it's everything. So we live in a country where there's a lot of trauma that happens, and that's from crime, our high crime rate, our high gender-based violence rates. So yes, trauma is one of that, but paired with that is anxiety. Because how many of us actually go through, workplace anxiety, having anxiety, just making sure that we are able to assist our family members at home. South Africa has been named as one of the countries with the most highest anxiety levels in the world. And that comes from waking up in the morning. So we are an anxious nation, but at the same time, we are a resilient nation because we know what's it like to fight through things. So yes, anxiety is one of the biggest, and then depression, I would say, substance abuse as well. So when I look at like even stats from what we have, it's always um, trauma, depression, anxiety, grief and loss, substance abuse, and relationship issues. Those are 6 of our biggest things that we see often. But every month it changes, so it's never static. In December, we get a lot of calls of maybe loneliness, social anxiety, because some people have to be in public spaces or in family gatherings when they don't feel comfortable in it. A lot of financial issues that pair up with anxiety and depression as well. So, yeah, every month's different, but these are like the top six that I can see consistently happening throughout the year.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioning December. That is a time where I also normally feel I don't want to be around people. Like I normally stick to myself. So it seems like it kind of is like a seasonal thing. So yeah, thank you for bringing that up. Um, what what can ordinary South Africans like us um, do to support one another with this mental health state of South Africa?
It's an interesting question. And I'm always big on kindness. I always say that you never know what the next person is going through. And if we can just be kinder to each other, it might change something. You see these videos, I like because I do a lot of research for campaigning. There's videos of how one smile changed a person's decision to take their lives. Or how a simple hi, hello changes someone's life because they feel validated and seen because often people that are struggling with their mental health feel unseen. People that have heavy suicidal thoughts feel hopeless, helpless, and unseen as well. So being kind, reaching out, and being just there, that's more than enough. But at the same time, in your circles, reaching out to a person that you may notice something's changed within them or just a general check in to see if they're okay because normally you speak to someone every single day and all of a sudden they disappear for 3 days and you don't know why. Checking in is so important. Um, I think that's the most that we can do, but at the same time with that, educating ourselves. So learning more about different disorders, learning more about signs and symptoms, learning about how you can help yourself cope better. Also self care is so important and often overlooked. So making sure and being that monitor. So for instance, you have a friend that can't take care of their mental well-being and they don't know what it is like to have self-care. So you have a buddy and that a buddy system and you check in on your friend to see have you taken some time out for yourself in the last week? Because that's important. So there's many things I can say, but the biggest thing and the biggest word for me is be kind. I forgot to mention to you that SADAG receives those 2,500 calls. From those 2,500 calls, 1 in 4 of those people that call us are suicidal or have suicidal ideation, which is massive. So, I don't know. Sometimes we let people go without being noticing them. And then when it does happen, we then ask ourselves, why didn't we reach out to help them? So even if it means that they post something on their WhatsApp status and it seems like they seeking attention, instead of seeing that as something that, brushing it off or saying that they are seeking attention, just do a gentle check in. Because when we do lose them, it's going to be our regret because we've picked up that they were going through something, but we thought brushed it off. So, yeah, that's all I can say.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I also try if I see someone post a status or something that's a bit off, just to check up on them. A year or two back, we had a scare where someone posted or told us that one of our friends was like not yeah unalived or somehow, but then we saw that he posted like last week, and then we were confused, and then we were like, what happened and all of that. And then just in that moment realizing that you might not see that person again, that was heartbreaking. Like the whole friend group was sad, but I decided to call the person, and then this person picked up, and then I was like, rumor has it you're not here with us anymore. But then they got it confused that it was someone else. So we happy to
Thankfully.
we happy to have
Thankfully
him
for that. Thankfully for
to
that.
have him with us. Yes. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so let's look at the ugly side of things. How serious would you say is the mental health crisis in South Africa at this moment?
Great question again. I think it is quite serious. People often suffer in silence and not speak about what they're going through. So, I mean, think about it. How many people you know that are struggling with things, but they find it difficult to actually speak out or to seek help? And I think because of that, we'll never know the true numbers of what's going on within this field. Also, I think when we do these like short surveys and research, which we are going to about to launch a new survey about the festive season and how your anxiety levels increase around this time. Um, we want to understand people better. And if people participate in these surveys, it will help us understand what the actual reality. Unfortunately, we don't have a strong funding model to make us go to help us do this. This research and stats and find out what's going on. We rely on whatever we have. So yes, it is quite serious. And you can see it in the productivity rate and what's going around in the environment that we in. Think about it. In this week, I think in Milnerton, there was the bullying incident. Yeah. And if you look at it, it's a whole onion that you can peel and unsurface because boys that are bullying people have their own mental issues. And then the bullied one also now is going through a whole lot of mental health issues. So I mean, it's tough out there. And that's why I always say, and I'm going to say it again, be kind.
Definitely, definitely. Yeah, so also I think one important thing for us is to know the warning signs. Could you walk us through some of the warning signs that someone might be at risk of suicide?
Most definitely. So I wouldn't want to give you the whole clinical, but I break it down in a way that maybe we remember it better. So the first thing is your productivity. If you are struggling to go through your day to day activities and struggling to complete simple tasks like getting out of bed, going to shower, or initially in the early days, you start losing focus and concentration. So, what would take you a day to do at work may take you a week to do at work now. So, that's one of the signs, like a overall theme that goes on with your productivity. Then we have your behavioral patterns that change. So, when we talk about eating patterns, sleeping patterns, um, the way you interact with people, the way you try and avoid people, the way you are able to you know, sometimes what happens is you trigger faster. So you already in a like overly overwhelmed and now someone tells you something and you just snap and you that's so out of your personality because you never do that. That high irritability, the agitativeness, all of those things change within you again could be another sign. Then we look at your emotional part of everything. So if you are feeling very sad all the time, or you're feeling very anxious over all the time, just feeling hopeless, helpless. Sometimes just give up because you just feel like nothing's ever going your way. That's another part of it as well. So it's your productivity, your behavioral patterns, and your emotional patterns. When those things start changing and it lasts for over 2 to 3 weeks, go and seek some sort of help. I would advise, however, don't wait too long.
Yeah.
Rather, in the first week when you are struggling, go and speak to someone. It doesn't have to be someone professional. It could be a friend. It could be our call center. Just someone to speak to so you get things off your chest. That helps you a lot. It's like when we speak about trauma. And, I don't know, I think it happens in all cultures, right? So, for instance, You meet up in an accident or you get hijacked. Now everyone's coming to see you. And you keep relating the same story over and over again. It does drive you absolutely insane. But at the same time, remember it's helping you heal because you're processing those emotions and you're processing how you feel. And at the same time, you're seeing all the support that's happening around you, which is so important. So, yeah, I think remembering that these are some of the symptoms overall. Each mental illness will have a bit of differences. So, for instance, anxiety has a lot of physical symptoms. Your trauma will have symptoms of recollection. So, you keep, that things will trigger you to recollect that same thing that's happening to you. So, I think each one will be different, but just knowing the overall things like the behavioral patterns, the emotional patterns, and your productivity, that will help you then assess when to get help.
You've touched on a lot there. I was gonna ask about like maybe I'm just having a bad day today or having a bad day tomorrow. Does that mean I should reach out? But yeah, like you said, it's the 2 to 3 weeks. If it's been going on, I think that's a nice guideline for us. Also with that, if people are going through things like a lot of them or a lot of South Africans, let's say, would run to some sort of quick release, like substance abuse or things like that. So, is that helpful, or where do we cut the line, or where do we say like this is enough when it comes to that, like healthy coping mechanisms?
I love how you first started and you said if you're having a bad day and whether I should go and get help. We always loosely use the words depression and oh, I'm feeling so anxious today. I'm so overwhelmed, friend. Remember, even on those days, speak to someone about it because it will help you heal faster. Most of mental illnesses, or like depression, anxiety specifically, if you keep bottling things and you leave it unresolved and you don't attend to it, it becomes a bigger issue later in life. With your other question, yes, there is such a thing as bad coping mechanisms and good coping mechanisms. So your good coping is getting therapy, speaking to someone. Um, Also, lifestyle changes are so important, right? Then we have your so that's all good things. Then we have the bad things like the substances, alcohol abuse, drug abuse, all of those things. And it's things that we need to avoid. So when I say educate yourself about these different issues and how to cope better and self-care and learning coping skills are so important. So you avoid the unhealthy coping mechanisms, and that will help you get through whatever you need to go through.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I've also had like a health scare where blood pressure was like through the roof, and I think there was like a lot of contributing factors to that, stress and all of that. And one thing that helped me was getting into running, getting a goal. I want to complete a certain race distance and then training towards that. Yeah, and yeah, like my blood pressure came down, and I was able to reach one of my running goals. So I think definitely having a healthy coping mechanism helps a lot. When is it SADAG receives an emergency call, um how do you guys handle those high risk situations? Is there like a certain process that you guys go through, or yeah, could you just walk us through that?
So we do get very often, I know, with my experience, my first call was a suicidal call. So, yeah, when these emergencies happen, there are supervisors that assist our volunteer counselors. Also, remember that all our counselors are trained by us. So they are equipped to handle difficult situations when they do come up. But at the same time, if there is a serious call, we all work together and we support each other. So the counselor will write notes and say, I need support, phone in this place, or I got the address, this is the address, can you call for an ambulance to go through to the person, or any emergency services, or if they have a loved one, can we call that person to get to the house immediately to support the person? So we sort of have a system in place. Not every call is an emergency.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just someone that wants to talk and feel better. Other times it is someone that's like there's an extreme emergency and an active, maybe someone going through a psychotic episode or anything of that sort. And we get emergency services. We make sure we get all the details, and we also support each other. If after the call, the counselor does feel a bit uneasy, we do debriefing as well, because we also need it, right?
Yeah, I was about
So
to ask about that.
So yes, we debrief, we support. If there's a need for further support, we do that as well.
Okay, cool. It's good to know that you guys also have some sort of support or some sort of support structure that helps alleviate the pressures, because I believe it can get a lot. Yeah.
Hmm.
So from your side, what would you say, or what would you think are the most, or what is most urgently needed from the government, the communities around us, and the media to help with the mental health state of South Africa?
Sure, you asked lots of difficult questions. Right? um, with the government, I think them working in silos and not working with community, or I could say NGOs,
Yeah.
to better the services and make it accessible and affordable is something that we need to work on. The government writes beautiful strategic plans, I must say, and the difference is it's not being actioned.
Yeah.
If we just did that, it would work better. And I think if they work together with everyone, it would work better at most cases. At the same time, we need more wards, psychiatric professionals in all the hospitals and clinics, even if they're not all, but at least some. And I think if that's not possible, at least have a mental health, um, a lay counselor that would also help. Um, And then from communities and general people, I think from your side, it's about creating that awareness, making sure that people learn more about mental health, having, these community activations where you have a mental health day and you have talks and you give out brochures, and make sure that people know where the resources are. And then with press and media, it's just more, we need to talk more openly about all these issues, and we need more. I mean, we do a lot. With SADAG, we're very, very lucky because we are getting all the support we need when it comes to press and media. And I think let's just keep the conversation going. Same with community members. Let us open up. When you're at home with your children, speak to them about mental health and well being. When you are with your friends, speak about it. The more we openly speak about it, the easier it becomes for us to then start a conversation, either when we are struggling or when we see someone struggling.
Cool. And last difficult question. Um, what message would you share with someone who's listening right now who feels like they've maybe reached the end?
I think that's not so difficult, but yes. I think the most important thing to realize is that you're not alone. There's always someone out there that cares for you, that wants to be there for you. And if you still feel like you can't speak to someone, reach out to a person like a friend, or if you can't speak to someone that's close to you, call SADAG. We are open 24 hours every single day of the year. We don't close for Christmas, New Year. We open New Year's Eve. So whenever you need someone to speak to and you feel uncomfortable speaking to others, reach out to us, because I think the most underlying thing is there's hope. Don't make a permanent decision to a temporary problem.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being so open about this and the realities that a lot of us face. I don't know if I see the contact details is cut off here on my side. If you would just like to tell the listeners where they can get in contact, the WhatsApp line, the helpline, and the website.
Sure. So our helpline is 0800 21 22 23, which is the one on the screen. There is another one which is 0800 456 789. And our website is www.sadag.org. On our website, we do have numbers for WhatsApp. We decided to have a WhatsApp helpline because we've seen people find difficulty opening up. The only thing with the WhatsApp helpline, it's open from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. every day. In comparison, all our helplines are open 24 hours every single day of the year. If you visit our website currently, we have the men's mental health toolkit available. So there's a lot of brochures and information so that you can, maybe if you need help, you can go through all of that so you can learn something or you can find some sort of clarity in maybe finding what's going on with you. And also we have all the details of our online activities, what we're doing for the month. So yeah, visit our website. There's a lot there, and hopefully you find something that may help you.
Okay, thank you very much, Fatima, for joining us today. And I hope you guys continue the good work that you guys do at SADAG and that a lot of people get the help they need. The government works in conjunction with the NGOs. The communities have the conversations. And yeah, thank you for helping sharing the light on the resources available.
Thank you so much for having me on your show today, Hilton. I think just speaking about it, you probably would touch many lives. So continue the good work that you are doing as well. Because every little bit, even if it touches one person, you are helping someone out there.
Before we sign off, if you or someone you know needs help, you can reach SADAG's 24-hour helpline at 0800 21 22 23 or 0800 456 789. I'm Hilton, and this has been Between Hope and Hustle. Between the good, the bad, and the ugly, remember your mental health matters.
It tells me climb but gives no rope. A puzzle piece between fear and hope. Between hope and hustle I stand tall. Catch me running but I'll never fall. The rhythm of dreams beats through my chest. No finish line but I'll give my best, yeah. Clouds roll heavy but I see the blue. Every scar's just a path I drew. The streets are loud with a broken song, but I keep walking, I'll prove them wrong. I got the fire, I got the fight. Through the shadows I find my light. Step by step through the thunder's drum. Between hope and hustle I overcome. Between hope and hustle I stand tall. Catch me running but I don't ever fall. The rhythm of dreams beats through my chest. No finish line but I'll give my best, yeah. Between hope and hustle I stand tall. Catch me running but I don't ever fall. The rhythm of dreams beats through my chest. No finish line but I'll give my